All right, 1 month down for President Obama, and his biggest challenge is still the sinking economy, of course. The president managed to push through the largest economic stimulus bill in history, but it's not calming investors' nerves, and many conservatives, well, they're not happy with all the government spending going on these days. In fact, one group even launching this new commercial today.
Congress just spent nearly $800 billion of your money. How much is that? Well, suppose you spent $1 million every single day starting from the day Jesus was born and kept spending through today. $1 million a day for more than 2,000 years. You would still have spent less money than Congress just did. So what did you get? Economists say most of the money won't help this year. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office says the plan will actually hurt the economy in the long run. And what about the billions wasted on pork and pet projects? Congressional liberals say.
Let me say this to all of the chattering class that so much focuses on those little tiny, yes, porky amendments. The American people really don't care.
Is this change you can believe in?
Oh, wow. Let's bring in today's panelists and see what they think. Niall Stanage is a political columnist with the New York Observer and the author of Redemption Song. Andrea Tintaros is a FoxNews.com contributor and a Republican media consultant. And Bernard Whitman is a former pollster to President Clinton. All right, Niall, I want to start with you first. Good idea or bad idea for the conservatives to come out lashing like this? And is it a little too late? I mean, this thing has been signed.
I think that's a good point, that it is too late in the sense that it's on its way now. But the other thing that I think about that is it's kind of a bad idea, I think, to have an ad that is so obviously identifiable with the Christian conservative movement. The first thing you notice about this ad is it's anti the Democratic Party and it mentions Jesus. As soon as you do that, it becomes identified with Christian conservatism, which is fine if you want to just appeal to that constituency. But if you want to appeal to a wider audience, I think it's difficult to do that.
Okay, the wider audience. Do you think that they're going to sort of get buried in the message, considering that they spent $1 million on this ad, and they're blaming Congress for spending too much money? $1 million, I mean, that's a lot of money just to get a message across that's not really going to change anything.
Well, I disagree with you respectfully. I think that the Republican Party should be running ads. Right now, the National Republican Congressional Committee is actually running ads in districts of Democrats who voted for this bill. It's a smart political move. Why? Because it points out, look, who voted for this? What is this bill actually going to do? It communicates to the American people, and it holds Democrats accountable because this is a Democratic bill. I do agree with you, though. Even as a Christian myself, I'm not in favor of politicizing Jesus.
I think the wastefulness of running the ads now is that people are only going to make up their mind about this bill when they find out whether it works or not, and that's going to be perhaps
when they
a year
use
or
Democratic
more down the line.
New York Senator Chuck Schumer in saying that people don't care about all the pork, I say they would care if they understood all the pork. And I don't even think the congressman understands all the pork in that 1,000-page long stimulus package.
But I think the bigger question is, hasn't the right wing politicized Jesus enough? The truth of the matter is, this bill will create 3 to 3.5 million, creators say 3 to 3.5 million new jobs. The majority of Americans are in favor of it, and most of this money is going to be spent in the next 18 months. This is a good bill, and if people want to know where their money is going, they can go on recovery.gov and see where every dollar is going. That's never happened in the history of government.
Okay, all these conservatives are complaining, but when we asked in a Fox News Opinion Dynamics poll whether or not President Obama did a good or bad job reaching across party lines, let's take a look at this. Drafting the economic recovery bill, did Obama sincerely reach out to Republicans? The majority all say yes, 66%. Republicans 42%, which honestly isn't that bad.
No, it's not at all. I think that's a very strikingly high number, given how divided the country is in general. To have 42% of Republican voters saying that he reached out sincerely or tried to be helpful, that's a big number, I think, for a Democratic president.
And I think he did. I think the issue was his own party caused from it. I don't necessarily think it was Republicans. I think he lost control of the bill. I think it was an amateur mistake.
Well, the important thing to note here is, in 1 month, the anniversary of Barack Obama's presidency, it's a month old today, he has accomplished more in a month than George W. Bush did in the first 8 months. 68% approve of his handling of the economy, 68% are favorable to him, and it's for reasons that he does reach out, and he did try to put together a bipartisan bill. The Republicans just didn't want to play along.
You know who's favorable? former President Bill Clinton. And in fact, he talked about how he commends the president on how he's dealing so far with this terrible economy we're in on Good Morning America. Take a listen.
I like the fact that he didn't come in and give us a bunch of happy talk. I'm glad he shot straight with us. I just want the American people to know that he's confident that we are going to get out of this, and he feels good about the long run.
You know, it's interesting. Americans also are a bit confident that Obama will be able to make significant positive change, too. And we have that poll, if you guys could throw that up real quick. 64% of those polled are confident that President Obama will bring significant positive change versus 75% who said so back in January. So confidence level slipping a little bit, though there is still hope.
I think that those confidence levels were possibly inflated artificially, if you like, around the time of his inauguration, just a new president. I also think Obama has a very fine line to walk, because obviously he doesn't want to be seen to be talking down the economy, but at the same time he doesn't want to raise expectations to an excessive level. So the electorate says in 6 months' time, well, why is it not all solved?
Those numbers are going to drop very, very quickly. And it's interesting, Bill Clinton's finally making trouble for his own party and not the Republican Party with these comments. But Bill Clinton, if you look back on how he handled the economy, he never talked about it with such doom and gloom. He said, we're going to focus on it like a laser beam. We're going to work on fixing it. Obama, it's almost become a self-fulfilling prophecy. I mean, the markets react to what he says.
No, I couldn't disagree more.
He's so reckless in his talk.
The American people are very clear. We are in a crisis. 3 and 4 have cut their spending as a result of economic instability, and they appreciate finally having a president who talks straight, which has been sorely lacking in the last 8 years. Obama clearly believes that we're going to get through this, but I do think Clinton is right that Obama can remind people that he does believe America's best days are, in fact, ahead of us.
Julie, think about this. The stimulus offers tax credits for people to buy a house and a car. If your president is telling you that we're in crisis, nobody's going to buy a house or a car.
It is very psychological. Yesterday, the Dow closed at the lowest point in 6 years. That tells you a lot about the psyche going on among Americans. So you do want to hear a positive president say, change is coming, and it's coming sooner, not 5 years from now. We want to get it now, but that's all the time we have. I apologize. Niall Stanage, thank you very much. And Andrea Tintaros, Bernard Whitman, thank you all for coming.